All right, let's talk about something anyone in purchasing knows all too well: change. We're going to break down a really critical process, the change order in Oracle Fusion purchasing. Because, let's be honest, how often does a purchase go exactly as planned?
You've totally been there, right? You finally get that big purchase order approved, everyone's signed off, and then, boom, something changes. Maybe it's the price, or the quantity, or a new delivery date. It happens all the time. And really, how you handle that change is what separates a smooth, well-oiled machine from, well, total chaos.
And here's the thing, purchasing documents just can't be set in stone. They're living things, really. They have to evolve as the business evolves. So let's dig into why these documents need to be so darn flexible in the first place. I mean, the need for a change can pop up from literally anywhere. The person who requested the item might suddenly say, hey, we don't need that anymore. The buyer might have to tweak some of the legal terms. Or the supplier calls and says their production schedule slipped. See? Every single person in that chain needs a solid, formal way to update the official record. So, the big question is, how does a sophisticated system like Oracle Fusion deal with all this constant change without everything just falling apart? Well, it all comes down to a really specific, super controlled process called a change order. So what is a change order really? It's basically the system's official, by-the-book way to handle any modification. And don't think of it as just a quick email or a phone call. Nope, it's a formal workflow, a structured process for proposing, reviewing, and then, finally approving any change to that document. Okay, and this next part it's actually brilliant. The system is all about protecting what we call the source of truth. While someone is off proposing a change, the original, approved document, it stays locked and active. This is absolutely critical. It means everything that happens next, like receiving goods or paying invoices, can keep moving forward without a single hiccup, all based on that one, stable, official version.
Now, you've got to know not all changes are the same. The system is smart. It actually sorts them into two different flavors, if you will, internal changes and external changes.
And the difference is actually pretty straightforward. An internal change, think of that as just internal housekeeping. You're correcting a cost center, maybe adding a note that only your team needs to see. It never ever goes out to the supplier, and it doesn't create a new version of the purchase order. But an external change, well, that's different. That's when you're altering something the supplier has to know about. Price, quantity, delivery date, you name it. That change is always communicated, and, this is key, it creates a brand new official revision of the document. Okay, so we've covered what a change order is and the two main types. Now for the fun part. Let's actually walk through the journey. How does this simple proposed change go from being just an idea to becoming an official, locked-in part of the document? But wait, before we jump into the steps, there's one golden rule we have to talk about. To keep things from becoming a total mess, the system has a strict one-at-a-time policy. You simply cannot start a new change order while another one is already in the works. This is what guarantees that you have a clean, step-by-step history of every single modification. All right, the process itself is a pretty clear 5-step path. First, someone has to submit the change. Simple enough? Then it automatically routes for approval. Now, if it's an external change, the supplier might have to formally acknowledge it. Once you've got all the green lights, the system applies the change. And last but not least, the whole thing gets archived, which creates that permanent, rock-solid audit trail we've been talking about. So you might be wondering, with all these different versions, these proposed changes, these approvals flying all over the place, how on earth does this system keep it all straight? I mean, how does it juggle the original document, the new ideas, and the entire history all at the same time? Well, the easiest way to get your head around the data model is with a simple analogy. Just picture the system using 3 different folders to keep everything organized for each and every purchasing document. Here's how it breaks down. First, you have the drafts folder. This is where your new change order lives while you're working on it and it's going through all the approvals. At the exact same time, the live document folder is holding that sacred source of truth we mentioned. That's the version everyone is actually working from. Then, once your change gets the final thumbs up and is applied, the old live version gets moved into the archive box, and your draft officially becomes the new live document. It's a beautiful system, really. It makes sure you have a perfect step-by-step history of every single version. So, we've gone through the what, the why, and the how of change orders. But let's bring it all home. What does this actually mean for a business? What's the real, tangible value of having a process this structured? Really, it all boils down to this fantastic combination of benefits. On one hand, You get the flexibility you need to adapt to the real world, but you get it with the control of a formal, approved workflow. You get a completely bulletproof audit trail, which is huge for compliance. And maybe most important of all, you maintain absolute data integrity because that source of truth, that live document, is protected no matter what. And that really brings us to the biggest takeaway here. A process like this, it's about so much more than just data. When changes are handled in a way that's transparent and predictable, it builds confidence. It makes sure that every single person, from the person who first asked for the item all the way to the supplier, is working from the exact same playbook. And what does that do? Ultimately, it builds trust. And trust, well, that's the real foundation of any solid business relationship, isn't it?